Hey, number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and ladies and gentlemen, a miracle has just happened. Now, you know how over the years, haters have been making videos about me, hit pieces, in bad faith, full of lies, completely misrepresenting my points, attacking me ad hominem, trying to do character assassination, twisting everything I say. It's been a clown show. Until today. This guy, this man, all right. Title of the video, we need to talk about Metatron. Already I appreciate that you're using the same title as I do on my videos when I talk about other people. I think you could have stepped it up a notch, mate, and done the finger pointing that I do. I think that would have been great anyways. He says, I'm worried, on the thumbnail, putting me in there. Good picture. And then the name of the channel is Not an Expert, and he posted this 2 weeks ago. Now, why do I call this a miracle? Believe it or not, can't believe I'm actually saying this. This is a good faith critique towards me. Take a moment, guys, because this is not going to happen in a while. This is unbelievable. So we're going to watch it. We're going to react to it. So let's go. So channel Not an Expert, 540 subscribers, 8 videos. I don't know why I can't see them though. 7, I guess, are hidden.
I've been a subscriber of Metatron's for years now. I still remember finding his channel during COVID, those late nights watching videos about medieval armor, ancient languages, swordsmithing, Roman tactics. I'd lose hours to them. There was something special
Thank you for watching.
about how he taught, a mix of warmth, curiosity, and passion that made history feel alive. He didn't just inform you, he shared something, and it felt like learning from a friend. And that's what makes this video difficult. I'm not coming at this as a stranger or a critic looking for clicks. I'm someone who genuinely admired him.
I believe him 100%. It sounds real.
And I still do in many ways. But lately, something's changed, and I really think it's worth talking about.
Yes, it has. He's absolutely right. Number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and as always, this is an oasis for truth, facts, logics, reason. Right-wing rabbit hole.
Before I go any further, I should say where I'm coming from.
Please.
I'm a leftist. But before any right-leaning people leave, I think it's really important to at least hear what I have to say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm totally for it. One thing I want to say about this, to those people, the haters, right, the misrepresented, say that he doesn't exist, meaning those people that say the entirety of my audience is somehow far-right or alt-right, and then I tell you, no, it's quite mixed. I do have a big chunk of conservatives. Once again, conservative is one thing, far-right or alt-right is another. Absolutely I do, obviously I do. But I also have a lot of subscribers who are left-wing. Behold! Proof! Let's go. So, left-wing you were saying, yeah.
Politically, I lean left on policy, but culturally, I've never fit neatly into what people call the woke crowd.
Okay, so you are moderately left or left-leaning. Fine.
Over the years, I've often found myself frustrated with the performative outrage and ideological rigidity on my own side of the spectrum.
Tell me about it.
And when the anti-woke movement took shape, I was pulled into it. Not because I'd abandoned what I believed in politically, but because I was tired of the loudest, most irrational voices in the online sphere appearing to represent the left.
So basically you're an open-minded individual. I really appreciate that, by the way.
I just wanted to push back against the noise, that the people shouting the loudest didn't speak for me. And maybe that's why I connected so strongly with Metatron's work. When he made videos calling out the flaws in that culture.
Oh yeah, just say the Roman Empire. Man, she was terrible. Man, she was awful. I remember her. Yeah, she tried to do a few twisting and manipulation towards me, didn't she? And it backfired gloriously.
Hypocrisy, the historical inaccuracies, the exaggerations. I loved them. I found them sharp, fair, and honest. He could push back against overreach and censorship without personally attacking people like me. And that balance felt really refreshing. But that's why this is so difficult, because somewhere in the last month, that balance feels like it's disappeared completely.
I'm not sure I would say has disappeared completely, to be honest with you. And I'm here, by the way, with an open mind, because when people approach criticism in a constructive manner, and he's clearly being respectful, he's not attacking me directly, he's attacking my arguments, he's presenting a valid line of argumentation. Of course, I'm open to listen. And in fact, if anything, if he says something and I'm like, you know what, he's right, I'll say it. Good, great. I mean, if he can help me avoid echo chambers, and yeah, that's totally fine. I'm here for it. I'm listening. I'm happy to be corrected. With that being said, I'm not sure how the balance has changed. I still don't attack people like you. It's true that the channel has changed. 100% my direction, my approach to a lot of things, and the topics that I choose to cover have changed. I still cover history, by the way. I'll get back to that. You will never see it, though, because notifications just don't work with history stuff. But I still do. But my overall approach to the likes of him hasn't changed, but we'll see. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the point.
Same voice that once prided itself on nuance and evidence now sounds different, harder, more defensive. And his audience, the same one that once loved him for being fair-minded, is slowly becoming an echo chamber of anger. And that makes me worried and scared.
Well, to be honest, there is a lot of anger right now, and obviously this is all connected to what happened to Charlie Kirk. We'll return to it because I do want to let him speak. I'm interested in seeing the core of the argument now that he gave us the premise, but I'll circle back to this.
This video isn't meant to be a takedown. It's not an attack. Nor will I ever be calling him something that he isn't. This video is meant to be a conversation from a long-time fan who's troubled that one of the creators he respected most might be drifting into the same kind of extremism he used to challenge.
Fantastic. Okay, so first and foremost, I appreciate this. This is why I decided to react. I'm more than happy to open the dialogue. As I say, number of subscribers to me means nothing. If a video is well made, I'll engage with it. And in fact, I'm already giving him a like. I'm going to say two things. Thing number one, considering the fact that he is being already honest in the way he began with the premise, check him out. Go watch his video. Perhaps he'll publish more. I think it's a good way if you're a subscriber of mine, since he is clearly demonstrating there is someone who's critical, but also doesn't attack the person. He attacks the argument. He's being decent. Go subscribe to him. Go subscribe to him. I'm subscribing to him. I'm going to do it now. 3 minutes in. Man, that was a good pitch. If he made me subscribe in 3 minutes, guys. Compare it with how I reacted with some of the, bad empanada type of people of Freda. I'm subscribed to him. I encourage you to subscribe to him. After subscribing, the second thing I was going to say, let's open that dialogue. Let's have a conversation. More than happy. We can have a conversation anytime. You can reach out if you want through X, if you use it, I don't know, or email, and I'm more than happy to.
Drifting into the same kind of extremism he used to challenge.
Hope not.
And I want to talk about how it happened and why it matters.
Okay.
If you're a fan of his watching my video, then I implore you to watch it through because
watch it through.
I too am a fan. This video is coming from a place of love, not condemnation. And by critiquing Metatron, I am also not endorsing anyone he's criticized in the past. I want my issue to stand by its own merits.
Thank you.
Now, in this video, what I'll be doing is focusing on several of Metatron's recent uploads within the last month. They are whataboutism, the shift is coming, his takes on immigration, the leaked Republican group chat, and finally, we'll look at his coverage of the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Good choice. There are a few other videos actually that I'd be interested to see what he thinks of, but for now, let's work with what he has proposed.
As a whole. Not to sensationalize it, but to understand how it's become the centerpiece of his new direction. I would have covered more, but this video would have been like 3 hours long, so I had to be quite selective with what I focused on. I chose these videos because I think they illustrate his tone, framing, arguments, and how and why he's changed perfectly. But if you'd like me to specifically analyze another video of his or from a different source entirely, I'd be happy to take requests.
Can I send a request? No, seriously, I'm not joking. Can I send a request? Because if there is a video that I think I did a very good job and the arguments are solid, I'd be interested to see if you agree or if you can find holes in it, considering that you would come from a moderate left-leaning perspective. And by the way, I'm still moderately right-leaning. So when it comes to extremism, I will never endorse extremism, whether it be on the left, obvious, or whether it be on the right, regardless of what people say. I am moderately right-wing. I'm not like one of those insane people. I have a couple of videos in mind if you take requests. Not, you don't have to make a video about it. You could send me an email if you want.
Before we start, I just want to mention that all
Okay.
of my sources are linked in the description below.
Appreciate it.
Now, let us begin.
I should probably learn to do that better. Do you give lessons? Let me see. What are the topics again? So we're doing the shift, the whataboutism. Interesting. Some points were valid. Some points I think he misunderstood. Shift is... Oh, maybe I didn't explain myself. Section 3, immigration. I am curious to see what he's going to say about immigration. Leaked group chat. That's another one we should talk about. Section 5, Charlie Kirk. Metatron outro. Okay. So I'm going to have to divide this reaction in multiple, which I don't mind, by the way. Totally. So, because if I can improve my content and the way I am, or also avoid using fallacies and whatnot, that would be great. So, I'm going to use Shift is Coming for a separate one. We'll analyze that one. If you want to watch it directly, watch it before I react. I'm really curious to see what he's going to say about immigration. But first, let me see this message that he has to Metatron. Let's check that one out. So, we see the message first and foremost. To you, Metatron. Let's go. Boom.
Metatron, I'm going to speak directly to you now.
Please.
I don't hate you. I'm not making this to take you down. I'm not doing it for clicks or outrage. I mean, this is literally the first video on this channel. I'm doing it because I used to admire your work. The way you made history feel alive. The way you treated ideas with care and precision. You were one of the rare creators who could disagree without cruelty. That's why it's hard to watch you drift further into this reactionary space where everything becomes us versus them, where compassion is mistaken for weakness.
Never. I don't mistake compassion for weakness. I really don't. And once again, us versus them, there is a certain level of tribalism in there. But do remember that I always say it's decent people versus insane extremists. That's the way I see us versus them. Now, yes, I do believe that as a right-leaning person, I do believe that the right wing, conservatism, has more to offer than progressive values. And you are left-leaning, so you believe the opposite way. And that's fine. I'm pretty sure that due to the fact that I think we both belong to the decent section, there will be overlap in our line of thinking. So that's why I'm very interested to see what he thinks about my ideas on immigration, because if he's bringing up compassion, well, I don't want to speak for him. I don't want to strawman the guy. But yeah, please.
And outrage becomes evidence of truth. You've often said that the West is losing its sense of reason and dialogue, and I agree.
Yeah.
But reason isn't protected by anger. It's protected by empathy, by slowing down enough to understand before judging. The moment we stop checking our own biases, we become the very thing we swore to resist.
I hope not, which is why I appreciate him making this video more than ever. If he makes more, I'll watch them. The only thing I want to say is I'm all for compassion, absolutely beautiful word, and feeling. Let's address both compassion and empathy. Compassion, 100%, but I will always give compassion to the victims, not the perpetrators. And that's something we can expand on if you want, but I'm saying compassion is right. It's good. I'm not going to be empathetic to awful people. I'm not going to try and understand some kind of criminal who rapes children, for instance. I'm not going to be empathetic. So I think we can all agree with this one. And of course, I'm using an extreme. I'm not going to be empathetic towards a school shooter. And so we're not empathetic and understanding to them. We are empathetic and understanding to people who are suffering, and perhaps they say something, but they don't mean it. Fine. So this is a no. This is a yes. And then eventually we'll have to put a line here. So perhaps we put it in different places, but no one is 100% empathetic towards everyone. Empathy towards evil, I understand that good and evil might be a little bit of a philosophical take, but once again, I don't see anything wrong with adding a little philosophy into the mix, but I don't think it's right to be empathetic towards evil.
To your viewers, especially those who become the very thing we swore to resist. To your viewers, especially those who followed you for years.
No, I have nothing against the viewers. I have a problem with those viewers that are manipulative, though. Like someone who comes and says, hey, like you, I really liked your history videos. I see you have taken a different direction, but I hope you can do some history content too. Then it's one thing, right? I can say, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I will post history as well. But right now I'm interested in these topics, so possibly the next, whatever the heck, 10 uploads will be about something else. But do check in and thank you for watching. I do that. 100%. But if someone comes in and says, you have fallen, you're just a grifter, how low you have fallen, you have become a far-right grifter, this disgusts me, unsubscribe, exclamation point. I don't need to be empathetic towards those. There's a difference. And in fact, a lot of the people that write that, I don't think they were even fans in the first place. Probably wasn't even subscribed. The person who screams unsubscribe. And that's a major point of critique that I want to bring up. There have been content creators that I used to watch, and then I stopped watching because I've seen a difference in the way maybe they decided to talk about things that I'm more interested. I have never, ever gone into the comments to shame them for it. I just stopped watching. Or maybe I'll return, I'll circle back after a few weeks and then see how it's doing. And it's like, oh, look, he did actually make a video about the freaking Commodore Amiga, but now he was talking about Pepsi. And I'm not interested in Pepsi. But I'm not going to go there and shame them. How dare you? Because it's weird. It's out of place. But normal criticism or people who are genuinely asking, I have nothing against it.
This isn't an attack. It's a reminder that you can question him and still respect him.
That's totally fine, yeah. I'd like to show you some of those comments that are attacks, though.
That holding someone you admire to a higher standard
but yeah,
isn't
like
betrayal.
him, yeah, sure.
It's loyalty
Absolutely.
at its truest form.
Agreed.
Because when creators start building walls around their ideas, it's the people inside those walls who lose the most. I hope you watch this with an open mind.
Very
Same
open,
way
yeah.
I watched you when I was learning. I hope you remember that curiosity and humility can coexist with conviction. And I hope that someday you return to the kind of person that made so many of us believe you were different. Because I still believe you can be.
Section 1, whataboutism is pure hypocrisy. Yeah.
This video is Metatron attempting to explain whataboutism, a rhetorical trick where someone avoids criticism by saying, what about X? He begins by defining it correctly as a logical fallacy, but within minutes, that definition starts to shift. The focus moves from the structure of bad arguments to the supposed behavior of his perceived opponents.
I think he has a future in content creation, to be honest.
The video gradually stops being about logic and starts being about them.
Yeah.
So let's break it down.
True. So what is whataboutism? Whataboutism is a rhetorical technique where someone responds to criticism or an accusation by deflecting attention to a different issue, often by pointing out perceived hypocrisy or wrongdoing by the critic. And instead of addressing the original point, they essentially say, oh, what about this other thing instead? This pattern is a logical fallacy. It is absolute pure hypocrisy on their part, and I'll show you why.
He begins with a fair definition of whataboutism, but the phrase on their part changes the tone. In that moment, the focus shifts from describing a fallacy to assigning ownership of it. It's subtle, but it transforms an analytical point into a moral accusation. The phrasing positions him and those who agree with him as the rational side, while...
Well, not those I appreciate. True, I agree. But not those who agree with me. You can disagree with me. Just want to underline that in case perhaps I didn't do a good job at expressing that. But when I say not those who agree with me, those who don't rely onto this fallacy. Perfectly be someone who completely disagrees with me when it comes to my takes on history or politics or foreign policy or economic wealth redistribution patterns, whatever it is, religion at that point. And as long as they don't use this kind of rhetoric, then they will be one of us, if you will. I understand us versus them can be criticized as a form of argumentation itself. That's totally fine. Just wanted to be clear, though.
They become the irrational defenders.
But it is annoying because the other adjective that we can use to describe the people that usually use whataboutism is sanctimonious, holier than thou. And aren't those the kind of people that you're like, you know what, just had enough of you? I agree with myself. Bye, bitch.
Here, the focus moves from the behavior to the people who display it. Rather than analyzing a flawed tactic, he begins describing the type of person who commits it. This is a form of moral labeling when critique of an argument becomes commentary on character. Once you brand someone as sanctimonious, their ideas can be dismissed as ego rather than engaged with on substance.
He's absolutely correct. Interestingly enough, this is what people do to me, but he's not doing it. Can you notice that? Which is why I appreciate someone like him, but I don't appreciate people that have to attack with the usual line of racist or homophobic and all the kind of stuff that is absolute nonsense. I think what I'm starting to see here, while his critique is absolutely valid, but really what it seems to boil down to in this case is that what he would have wanted when it comes to my video was a more analytical, technical discussion on the logical fallacy proper. Fair. Not exactly what I had in mind with the video, though. The video was more like me venting over people annoying me. So there's that. But I mean, sure. I mean, I can see why he would prefer the analytical type of videos. Not exactly where I was going with that production, though. So if I care about a specific topic, and that's the area of discussion I would like to focus on, and you disagree not with my takes, but with the choice of topic, don't click. It's not like I'm forcing people. Guys, I'm mind controlling you. You have to click this. No. I put a topic, you click to tell me, but what about this? Why didn't you talk about this other thing? Yeah. Well, you make a video about that then.
At face value, this sounds fair. Creators should have the freedom to choose their own topics. But the don't click line introduces a tension. On one hand, he presents YouTube as an open marketplace of ideas. And on the other, he implies that questioning his focus is illegitimate.
Oh, no. You can question it. 100%. You can question it. But I will bitch about it. So basically, the idea is, no, it's legitimate to question it, but it's also legitimate for the creator to not have to put up with it, meaning that if people storm in the comments and start saying, what about this, what about that, as the creator, I can choose to ignore them, or I can choose to reply and say, what about it? Make it, don't click then. Like, both are viable, I think, and legitimate. It's just me.
It's a kind of rhetorical gatekeeping. Disagreement is welcome, but only on his terms.
Yeah, okay, so disagreement like yours is welcome. Disagreement there is character assassination is not. So, once again, me saying it's not welcome doesn't preclude people from doing it. They're still free to do it. And I would never use, for instance, just to clarify, copyright strikes or intimidation tactics or retaliation tactics to take people's freedom away. But of course, they're going to lose me when it comes to the respect that I can have for them or their opinion at that point.
The "you make a video then" remark reframes criticism as competition rather than conversation. It shifts the tone from dialogue to defensiveness. An understandable instinct, but one that distances himself from being questioned.
See, this is the problem. Whataboutism avoids accountability for the original issue, derails productive discussion, creates false equivalences between different situations, and can be used to deflect from legitimate concerns.
This is completely accurate. That's precisely what whataboutism does.
Yes.
The irony is that only a few minutes later, he begins performing the very same deflection he's describing. It's a kind of rhetorical feedback loop, then slipping into it himself by focusing on the hypocrisy of the other side instead of examining his own.
Look, Charlie Kirk is assassinated. It's a disgusting thing. It's horrible. Look, everyone is laughing about it. What the heck? Nancy Pelosi. What about Nancy Pelosi's husband? Nancy, you have no idea, man. Once again, I really like the video so far, but you haven't got a clue how many people during live stream and in my chat and in the comments. So that's why I'm doing this now, because you have no idea. On X, I'm gonna have to make a video dedicated to Nancy Pelosi's husband. But suffice to say, to the people that have been wasting their precious time to comment that, I would like to do a single reply now. Yes, it was horrible what happened to Pelosi's husband. It was. I wish it never happened to him. And people that laughed about it were wrong. I mean, to be honest, I'd say that someone like him, I imagine he's going to appreciate this because I'm not pretending it never happened, or I'm not pretending that it wasn't a bad thing. Can I now speak about Charlie Kirk? Thank you. Yeah. Because you see, Charlie Kirk is relevant now. It happened now. which is why it should have priority. 2, it's on a completely different level. The guy died. Mr. Pelosi did not die. 3, Charlie Kirk's was a political assassination. Mr. Pelosi's wasn't a political assassination. It was a private matter. I mean, I'm interested to see how he's going to respond to this, because personally, I think it's correct, what I'm saying. The way I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct. 4, there weren't tens of thousands of people laughing at Nancy Pelosi's husband being hit, and they didn't receive over 500,000 likes on a single video.
Here he starts comparing tragedies to determine which deserves more empathy. But empathy isn't something that can be ranked. It doesn't operate on a scoreboard. By insisting that Kirk's case deserves priority because it's recent and fatal, he introduces a kind of moral arithmetic where compassion depends on context.
No, I think you can have compassion. He's right. I think you can and should have compassion towards all forms of suffering. With that being said, someone being slapped on the wrist and someone being shot in the head are very different. And so it is important, I think, to underline when there is mostly because, once again, remember, this is a response, not a statement I'm making in isolation. It's a response to people that tell me, what about Nancy Pelosi? So I do see where he's coming from. I want to kind of underline that I agree with him. We shouldn't, it doesn't, if something awful happened to Charlie Kirk, it doesn't preclude us from showing compassion to other people, even though whatever they are dealing with is not as ultimate as a fatal case, 100%. So I'm in agreement with him. He's right.
And to be fair, I understand the frustration of constantly being told to talk about something you've already addressed.
Exactly.
Especially when you're facing bad faith comments. Yeah. But frustration doesn't justify making one tragedy more valid than the other.
Agree to disagree on this one.
Then there's a claim that tens of thousands of people were laughing at Kirk's death. I did see some genuinely awful posts. People making cruel jokes or celebrating what happened. Yeah. And I understand how seeing that online could make anyone's blood boil. Yeah. But there's really no independent evidence to support that it was that prevalent in the online sphere.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that data. Problem is, while I haven't seen, of course, tables that give us numerical, like actually precise numbers, the situation is that the likes are real. And so that's a metric we can use, unless you think they're all botted. But then again, I have seen that. I've seen like 17,000 likes, and then the guy is like laughing at Charlie Kirk's death. Or another one laughing at it, and then 500,000 likes. 500,000. That there is 500,000 people that thought, yeah, it's hilarious. He deserved it, the bigot. Not to mention the ones that, the tens of thousands, these are real, right? The tens of thousands of likes under the videos that actually pushed for violence towards his children. While he's correct that when I said tens of thousands, I probably should, that's one critique that I want to take at heart. Maybe before saying in numbers, I should just say many, the multitude of videos, because when I say tens of thousands, but I don't know if it's precise, maybe it's 9,000, maybe it's more, maybe it's 170,000. Or maybe it's only like it feels like it's more because they're loud and they make the news, but perhaps it's only like 1,000 people that did it. So that is something I did wrong. I think I shouldn't have said tens of thousands, and that's definitely something I'm going to change from now on. When it comes to the number of actual posts, I do maintain it, however, when it comes to the likes. And then I'll see if there is a way to quantify that exactly, to be precise in numbers.
I mean, I understand why it might feel like it was a gigantic expression from an entire group. When the worst examples are all you see, it starts to feel like it's everyone. But those extremes don't reflect the wider reality. They're being conflated with the base rates. I mean,
yeah, sure. Then again, I never said that it was the entirety of the left. I have reiterated that. That's why I always specify radical. That's why I say that. And in fact, I will say that towards people on my side that tell me it's the left. And I'm like, it's the radical left. Like, I specify that precisely because there are people like him. Like he said, it's awful. He said, it's terrible. So it's not him, right? I don't think it's as small as you think it is, though. If I can give you one counter argument to this. I don't know his name, though. Sorry, I don't know your name. But I don't think it's as small as you think it is, because do remember that when there was the assassination attempt at Trump, just like there was the successful assassination with Charlie Kirk, have you seen the reaction of the crowd when they laugh about it during concerts? And that crowd is massive, meaning that for Trump, there was the singer saying, next time don't miss, and people went, yeah, like this. Those are not a couple of people. And when it was the scumbag that I covered on my channel, Bob Villain, and he was making jokes about Charlie dying. And then everyone there was a lot of people in that crowd, and they were all laughing about it. So while you are probably right that it feels worse than it is because of the way the internet functions and the algorithm, but I also think it's not as small as you think it is.
Meaning the actual proportion of people behaving that way. And the political affiliations of those accounts and people doing that are mostly unknown.
Right, but if someone calls you fascist and says you're bigot, you're left-wing, man. I just can't think of a right-winger. To be honest, I'm just being honest. I'm trying to be receptive, okay? But I also gotta say it if I disagree. Just can't imagine a conservative saying, serves you right, bigot. I can't just, you fascist, to a fellow conservative. I mean, what else can they be? Please do. And that's a question. It's not a rhetorical question. It's not a technique. I'm asking if someone makes content and says, look at this racist, bigot, far right guy. He got shot. He deserved it. Ha ha ha. Isn't it safe to say that's a radicalized lefty? Isn't that safe to say? I think it is safe to say. Feel free to disagree.
One crowdsourced database that claimed to have flagged around 63,000 users hasn't been independently verified.
Should be independently verified,
It also grouped together everything from simple criticism to actual celebration.
I have no problems with criticism.
And it did turn out to be a scam. And some of the most viral examples of celebration and conspiracy theories even turned out to come from misattributed or fake accounts. Mm-hmm. In reality, it's a small vocal faction being treated as if it represents an entire side.
You know what's possible? No, I don't do that. Hold on a minute. That I need to do. So far I've agreed, but that I don't. I don't know if he meant that I do that, but I have always said the radicals. So there are people on the right that say it's the entirety of the left. You're absolutely right. My cousin is a left-winger. I know he thought that was awful and that violence wasn't justified. So that's why I specify that continuously. There are people like him that we are watching now. He thinks what happened to Charlie Kirk is awful. And he said that would make your blood boil when you see people laughing about it or pushing for more violence, which he hasn't covered. And that's an important factor, people pushing for more violence towards his wife and children, because they're bigots, allegedly. Or they're going to grow up to be bigots, so you might as well. So me and him, while we may have different political ideas, we have a common line of decency. But I'm not grouping everyone together, and I say that all the time.
So what we're left with isn't evidence of mass cruelty. It's a distorted snapshot amplified by outrage.
I think it is mass.
But this distortion serves a purpose. By framing those few examples as proof that they were laughing, he's able to justify a broader emotional response. Anger, disgust, even a sense of moral permission to generalize.
But I don't generalize. So that's the only critique that I'm disagreeing with, is that I don't. I can show you a lot of clips when I did underline, I don't mean everyone. I don't know what else to do but repeating it at this point.
And as we'll see later, that they becomes increasingly fluid. Sometimes it means a handful of online trolls. Other times it quietly expands to mean the left as a whole.
No, sorry. That is, surprising because you're very thorough so far. But this one, I think you might have misjudged or misassessed simply because you felt called in. So that's fine. It's normal. Probably would have made the same mistake as you, by the way. But I literally made it so clear that I do not mean every single individual who is even moderately left-leaning. I did not include that. No, I only include those radicalized individuals that have reached a level of extremism that now they want violence onto other people due to their conservative, right-wing, sometimes Christian beliefs. That's who I mean. If, in fact, and this is interesting because even Freda made a post on X when I said that I was going to make several videos to attack all those who celebrated for Charlie Kirk's assassination and pushed for more violence. And Freda made a preemptive statement on his X saying, Metatron is making this video, he'll probably put me in it, and just so you know, even though I didn't do it. And I responded, I commented under it, and I said, no, you didn't do it. I'm not going to put you into it. I don't even know why people think I would do something like that. Of course not. Do I like Freda? No, not one bit. See, differently from him, who is good faith, Freda was not, and he did lie. He did misrepresent, and he did attack unfairly my history and historical analyses just on the basis of he hates my politics. That's what happened. However, even though I don't like Freda, I'm not going to accuse him of something he didn't do like that. I would never do it. Freda did not celebrate for Charlie Kirk's assassination. Hence, when it comes to this topic, I have nothing against him. It's really that simple.
I'll get into this more later in the video, because
Okay.
this reaction where emotion blurs into generalization reveals a lot about how people, including creators like Metatron, can unintentionally inflate scale through feeling. And as we'll see,
Sure.
that pattern of exaggeration and emotional projection shows up repeatedly throughout his videos.
They're assuming I never talked about it, but I did.
That true.
I spoke about it, both on X with a post and on my channel and my live streams, condemning it. Because when people brought it up, I said it. Oh yeah, what happened to her husband was horrible, obviously. Yeah. So that's another problem. The people that use the whataboutism never check. They assume. Why? Because the reality they're doing it because they don't want you to talk about what you're talking about. That's all there is to it.
Here's where he crosses from argument into mind reading. He claims that critics don't actually care, they just want to silence him. But if every objection is just proof that they don't want him to talk about it, then no one can ever disagree in good faith.
Right, okay, but you're also doing mind reading because a few times you said what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and what I'm thinking. So I wouldn't really call it mind reading. I'm just saying you're doing an assessment based on the data you have. So for you have some data, you have analyzed it, and now you're saying, okay, he's doing this because of that. I wouldn't call it mind reading. I think a few times you're right. You were right, and other times I think you missed the mark. Likewise, perhaps I did miss the mark, you're right. But rather than trying to, I'm not really saying that they're trying to silence you. I'm just saying that they are using whataboutism, pretending to care for the other line of argument, topic, whether it be Nancy Pelosi, whether it be the children in Palestine. Another thing I did talk about, by the way, but they pretend as if I didn't. But it's not because they actually care about that. It's because my opinion is it's because they don't like the topic that I have chosen. Could I be wrong in some of these instances? Absolutely. And should people still be allowed to criticize me? Absolutely. 100%. But I'd rather people focused on what I'm saying rather than saying, but you didn't say this. It's really... That's what it is.
That's not discourse. It's immunizing yourself from accountability.
I've decided to finally lift my restriction when it comes to political matters. My restriction being, before, I would only talk about politics if it was connected to either gaming or history, ancient history. But now I lifted that, and I will talk about whatever I want, whenever I want, without having to give any justification.
This sounds like a simple statement of independence, but contextually, it's the ideological turning point for his channel.
Yes.
He's announcing that he's leaving the boundaries of just history and gaming commentary and entering the political battlefield. That's a declaration of polemical intent. A creator recasting themselves from educator to crusader. It's not inherently bad, but it changes the expectation. Once you enter that arena, accuracy and sourcing matter so much
He's
more.
right. You can use it back at them. Whenever you want to talk about something, anything, can be anything. And then they come to you and they tell you, but what about this? And they give you a tragedy that has happened. Give them another tragedy back. Use another tragedy back at them. But what about the children who died of starvation in Africa?
This section is an example of rhetorical tribalism. When he says they, he's not talking about a specific group of people with specific arguments. They becomes a catch-all label to anyone who disagrees.
No. It's no. So let me clarify, since I said the word, so I know what I meant. Now you can choose not to believe him, but here's what I meant. When I say they, I mean haters who criticize in bad faith. That's all. Doesn't even matter, by the way, where they're from or what political idea they have. If you criticize in good faith, you're not part of they, regardless of your positions, by the way. You could be an atheist or and I'm a Christian. We're completely opposite. As long as you do it in good faith, no problem. It's just to be clear, you're not part of they. When I say they, I mean open Reddit, write my name. You'll see a lot of they in there.
It's dehumanizing shorthand that turns individuals into a faceless block of opponents. And once that happens, it's easier to dismiss them entirely. Then there's the give them another tragedy back part. That's literally prescribing whataboutism as a tactic. It's not about truth or moral consistency anymore. It's about winning the exchange.
Yeah, I think when I say that, obviously I'm using whataboutism back. The reason, the idea behind it would be to show them a taste of their own medicine. You might not like it now. You wait until you hit 10,000 subscribers, then we'll see how you respond to that. But anyways, I'm just saying, you might not like it. Maybe it's your personality. You don't do that. That's fine. You want to maintain integrity and consistency. It's respectable. I can respect that. But when it comes to me, what I'm saying there is not use whataboutism. We can do it and you can't do it. No, my idea is, the idea behind it is, if someone is using a whataboutism, a lot of the time they're doing it on purpose. But sometimes perhaps they're using it without even understanding what they're doing. And so to the latter, because the former won't care, they're just haters. But the latter, if you show them, look, this is what you're doing, and throw it back at them, my hopes is that they will realize, oh, you know what, you're right, this is nonsense. And at that point, I would say, okay, so let's ditch the fallacies. You won't use it to me, I won't use it to you. How about we just have a discussion? So the discourse part that you're mentioning, that is kind of lost at that point, is my ultimate goal. But it's just that with some people, I have a feeling that after many years on the platform, and I've tried it all, believe me, I've tried what you're pushing for years, they don't care. So at this point, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to use the same thing at you, see if you like the taste of your own medicine. I get it, not the nicest thing, but once again, might need some time with the haters, and then perhaps, or maybe not, maybe he's just better than me. I don't mean it in a bad way. Maybe he has a better, strong, more solid personality, and even if he has to go through 10 years of what I had to, with all the Afrocentric community, all the accusations, the attacks, all that stuff, maybe he will still maintain a core of like, yes, but I will never go down to their level. I did. Probably a bad thing, I get it, but that was the idea. The idea was not, I can do it and you can't.
He's encouraging escalation instead of understanding. The irony, of course, is...
Yeah, I don't want to understand anything when it comes to the haters. I dropped that one. I tried. Believe me, friend. I tried to use the understanding. I see where you're coming from in the comments, very polite. I see where you're coming from. I understand, but... trust me, like, I am not a racist. I am not an extremist. I don't hate black people. I don't hate gay people. I don't mean it. It's not that I'm trying because I don't want to see black people on screen. I'm literally talking about the historical veracity of Cleopatra. They don't care. 15 more hit pieces. And this I don't count as a hit piece, by the way. 15 more hit pieces. So at one point, people, after years, I kind of got fed up of it.
That this approach is exactly what he's accused the radical left of doing.
No, he's absolutely it is. See, he said radical left, so he knows that's what I say. Yeah, that's exactly it. I did it on purpose. You're right.
It's not an argument, it's a performance of dominance. And when political discourse becomes about scoring points rather than clarifying facts, nobody learns anything.
He's 100% right, and I'm more than happy to clarify things with you. Not with the haters that really, like the people that... I'm not trying to... Just so you know the level of hatred we are talking about. I've got people in the comments that constantly hope that my marriage is lost, that my wife leaves me, that I lose my child. They were laughing when my mother died of cancer. And to be fair, I don't care about reasoning with people like that. I think they're scum. With you, however, I'm more than happy to.
Everyone just digs deeper into their trench.
Yes, for whatever reason, they are choosing to address a topic on a specific day. Fine. But if you're going to come to me and tell me, oh, what about Nancy Pelosi? Then I'll tell you what about the children starving in Africa. Then I'll tell you what about this earthquake that happened in Indonesia and so many people died. What about this flood? It's tsunami. What about... Yeah, so the reason why I do this, I throw back the same tactics at them, was to demonstrate the logical inconsistency of the fallacy proper. That was my original idea. Whether I've executed it correctly or not, more than happy to discuss that.
Again, that's literally the definition of the thing he's condemning.
It is.
It's recursive hypocrisy. Using the fallacy as evidence of someone else's fallacy.
Yeah, that is what I'm doing. You're right.
He defines the sin and then commits it, proving how seductive the fallacy is once moral superiority enters the mix.
No, I don't think I'm morally superior. Again, it's just to show them this is what it feels like. Do you like it? No? Okay, let's ditch it. That was the plan. I am, of course, what's the word? Using it, and I know it.
And the more indignant the tone, the less you notice that the structure of the argument just doesn't work.
You see, at its core, whataboutism as a technique is supposed to be used to call out hypocrisy. Yeah, that's why people are using it against me or you. They say, you're a hypocrite. You're not talking about Nancy Pelosi, or you never mentioned anything about the children, whatever the heck war they want to talk about. But they ended up being the hypocrites themselves.
This is where he redefines whataboutism in a way that serves him. He reframes it not as a logical fallacy, but as a weapon used unfairly against him.
I think it is.
Turning critique itself into hypocrisy. But that's a circular argument. If everyone who challenges you is a hypocrite, then
Not
you've
everyone.
built a world where no criticism can ever be legitimate.
No, yours is legitimate. I'm going to make it a public statement right now. Public position of the Metatron, ladies and gentlemen. This kind of critique, absolutely fine. Why? Because it's not bad faith. He didn't attack character. No character assassination. No ad hominem. Didn't call me anything. He's willing to listen. Like, I can list a million other reasons as to why this is good. I don't have a problem with that. I mean it.
Every critic is then guilty by definition. It's also a clever rhetorical inversion. He's essentially saying, I can't be guilty of whataboutism because they're the real whataboutists. That's an impossible loop to break. A kind of argumentative quicksand where good faith discussion sinks.
That is a fantastic script, by the way. Love the way he wrote it.
By reducing critics to them and claiming they're always acting in bad faith, he closes the door to nuance.
I think it is good to define those people. I think it's good to define critics who act in bad faith as critics who act in bad faith, because that definition is going to be correct 100% of the time. Now, if it were the case, like you're saying, that I define every critic, even those who are not acting in bad faith, as people who act in bad faith on the very basis of them being critics, then he would be 100% right. That is not what I do. So at the end of the day, could I misjudge someone? Let's try to look at this. I'm trying to steelman his argument as much as possible. Could I ever misjudge someone and think they are acting in bad faith, but maybe they're not? Yes. And in that case, yes, I'm more than happy to apologize to the person. And I have done it in the comments, by the way. People explain themselves. I've done it on X as well. And they said, no, but I actually meant it this way. That I didn't. And then I'd be like, okay, then I misread it. I apologize for that. I have no problems with it. But there are plenty of times when, once again, I say, I am not willing to be understanding towards the haters anymore when it comes to real haters. I'm just not.
Not every person who asks, what about X, is trying to deflect.
Sure, that's fine.
Sometimes they're asking for consistency.
Fair.
But once you decide that any comparison is hypocrisy, you've created a shield that keeps you from ever having to self-reflect. When you argue like that, truth becomes whatever flatters your side. And that's exactly what whataboutism was meant to expose in the first place.
Well, no, of course. And then probably it's the only case in which I would appreciate at that point the critique when it comes to using whataboutism, even though I hate the rhetorical device. But at least if it shows that there is a problem with the way the facts are presented, the truth is what matters anyways. And that hasn't changed, by the way. That hasn't changed.
What starts as a lesson on logic ends as an illustration of how logic collapses on itself under tribal loyalty. This video proves its own thesis, that whataboutism destroys accountability by performing it in real time.
Yeah, I've already addressed why I performed it, so I mean, fine.
If you're going to call a fallacy pure hypocrisy, you have to avoid practicing it while the camera's still rolling. Alright, you can absolutely click off here. The video is basically over. But if you'd like to hear something really special I'm working on, I'd love for you to stay just for a moment.
Let's check it out.
I have a pretty incredible announcement. I'm going to South Africa to train as a park ranger.
Wow.
This is honestly the biggest, scariest, most exciting thing I've ever done. I was born in South Africa, and even though I've spent most of my life in the UK, a huge part of my heart never left the bush.
He does have a UK, he has an English accent. But cool.
Every time I've gone back, the feeling just hits me all over again.
I can
That
imagine
deep
that,
love
yeah.
for wildlife, the landscapes, the absolute magic of being out there.
Awesome.
And I've realized that protecting that's what I want to dedicate my life to. I've been accepted onto an intensive game ranger training course where I'll be learning real conservation work, wildlife management, fieldcraft, anti-poaching support, ecological studies, everything I
Man, this guy's legit.
need to actually make a difference on the ground. This is the path I want to walk for the rest of my life, and I'm so unbelievably excited to
I can respect that. I can tell he's excited, by the way.
finally start it. It
Cool.
is a pretty expensive course, and I need just a bit of help to cover the training, the basic gear, and the living costs while I'm out there. So I've set up a GoFundMe. Not
I'm going to put a link to his GoFundMe, by the way, in the description. Let me see how it's doing. £630 raised of 7,000. Yeah, let's, I mean, I think it's a beautiful project. You should definitely check it out because, again, as I say, I'll put a link, but I do appreciate the honesty. A few things I think he did misread or misunderstand or misjudge, but a lot of the, what are they called? Criticisms were valid. There are points that he made that were very good, and definitely I will take them into consideration as I go forward. But the one thing I want to say, I really appreciate that he was finally, he was honest, transparent, and this was in good faith. That is one thing I really appreciate. That is one thing I really appreciate. Very nice. We need to talk about Metatron. Okay, so I'm very curious when it comes to the immigration one and the other ones, so I'll make more videos. For now, this is the first one. Very much appreciated, by the way. Not an expert. I hope that you have success in your endeavors. And I hope that more people watch your video, which is why I'm amplifying it on purpose, so that, you know, people can hear the opinion of someone who disagrees with me or comes to this pool of content creation with a different perspective. But I really appreciate your video and reach out. Let's talk. Because I do think that a lot of the sections that you misunderstood, or that whether it be my fault because I didn't express myself, or whether because, regardless, that's irrelevant, I think could be very easily clarified if we had a chat, if we talked a little bit. I think you would be like, okay, so that's what you mean. Anyways, I'll still look forward to watching the other ones, the one about immigration, the one about shift, and then the leaked group chat. Yeah, because people think I haven't been, I mean, I did say I disagree with it, but whatever, fine. I'll check it out. And for now, thank you very much. And thank you, noble ones, as always. I'm always open to honest, constructive criticism. Anytime. Thank you.